Those of you who are new to this channel or video, it's the first video you've watched and the first time you've seen me doing makeup, you may be saying, well, why are you putting your foundation on after your concealer? And we're back with another educational beauty video. Now this is another most requested makeup look because there are a handful of looks that I kind of rotate between and you guys seem to love them, and this particular one has had some amazing feedback from you all and I personally love it too. Now if you do like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos, and I'm over on Instagram, so come say hi there too. Now let's jump straight into the video. Turns out I have a few most requested looks by you guys. You guys are loving this look. I wore this the other day, actually like 2 days ago, when I was doing a big campaign shoot, by the way, which I cannot wait to reveal to you guys. Yeah, so many of you guys over on Instagram actually messaged me saying that please, 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 can you do a tutorial on this look? So here we go. So I'm gonna start off with just prepping my lips. I've already got my moisturizer and eye cream on. That's skincare is all done. This is my Dual Lip Maximizer. I'm just gonna like put some onto my lips so that it's nice and like smooth and it's prepped ready for when I do put my lipstick on. Gonna go in with my Tarte Shape Tape in 35N medium, and I'm just applying a little bit of this to my eyelid. This is a pretty full-on look, by the way, guys, like, because it isn't exactly what I would do on a daily basis, but this is something that I wore the other day on a shoot, so I wanted a full beat. So I'm gonna go in with my Real Technique sponge and I'm just gonna start blending that. So I'm buffing it in, and when I say buffing, I'm bouncing the sponge up and down over my eyelid area and moving it around so it covers that entire eyelid area, and making sure that the edges are nicely blended out so that there's no kind of like harsh edges. Next, going into my Banana Powder by Ben Nye and getting my Laura Mercier Puff, and I'm just pressing that powder onto my lids. There's not a lot of powder on this sponge, it's just enough for it to kind of like set it. Now, once I've pressed it in, I get my Real Technique setting brush and I just basically kind of like dust it away so that it takes away all of the excess. And that's my eyelids prepped now, ready for whatever eye look that I do. Gonna get my concealer again, and now I'm just gonna basically apply this just a little bit here and a little bit on this side, and then also some more just on this area here. So this area here is just going to help to like kind of lift that area, and this here basically helps to like cover any kind of darkness that I have, which recently there seems to be quite a lot. I'm going to let that sit there now. Now the reason I let that sit there is because once it kind of like, I wouldn't say like, I was gonna say solidify, it doesn't solidify, but it kind of like almost like sets a little bit. So that's the word I was looking for, it sets. It sets a little bit while I'm doing the rest of the face, and then when I go to it, it's not so fluid, which means basically it gives me more of a flawless finish in exactly the place that I want it. Whereas if I was to start blending straight away, like now, the liquid, the concealer would basically end up going all over the place because it's so fluid. Whereas this way, it kind of like sets a little bit, so when I actually start blending, it kind of stays in that area, so I don't need to worry about it covering kind of any other area of my face. Now I'm going to go in with my Too Faced Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer in Warm Beige. I'm going to apply a little bit here, just a little bit down the nose, and then obviously here because I want to like really lift that area. And like this is the look, like I said, that I did when I did that shoot the other day, because I knew that some of it was going to be outside as well, and I just generally wanted to make sure that I had a really flawless base. When you are kind of like doing filming and things like that, you do tend to kind of have to put a little bit more on just for it to be visible for you guys. So I knew that it was a full-on film shoot, like it was like full-on filming, and yeah, there was some still, I was just so excited guys to see. Yeah, so I knew that I needed something which was going to be like kind of really flawless but also like staying in place. Now I'm going to get my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood complexion brush, and I'm using the fat side of it, and I'm just basically kind of like smoothing this over all over these areas that I actually did apply that Too Faced concealer. Now that's nicely buffed into the skin. I'm going to go back with my Real Technique sponge, and now I'm going to start on the under eye area. And because it's set a little bit, it's going to be much easier for me to blend this in, and it's going to give me better coverage. So okay, I'm just going to start buffing this in. So again, buffing means that I'm kind of like bouncing it all over the skin, and I'm trying to keep it in quite a uniform direction. So I'm not like kind of going sporadically all over the place. I am kind of like starting from the inner corner on the under eye area and then working my way out. So there you go. You can see that that is nicely kind of like buffed in. Gonna go in with my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. This is a darker shade. Now I'm gonna apply it just around here because I want that area to be warmer and because it helps to just slim down my face. I'm also applying it from here, which is the top of the ear, inwards, almost like ending before I get halfway in the middle of the eye. So I'm not going all the way in, and I'm also making sure that it sits in between my nose, so the nostrils, and my lips, so it doesn't go above, doesn't go below, and that's the right positioning for me. So okay, now I'm gonna do the same on this side. Okay, let's start buffing this in. We're going to keep everything in the same place, so I don't want to really like spread it out into other areas. I'm using my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood complexion brush again, the fat side, and I'm basically going to buff this section here. Like all I'm doing is bouncing the brush. That's the same. Buffing is the same no matter what tool you use. So like I said, I'm using the sponge. Like I was using the sponge earlier, so I was like bouncing over the skin, right? And this one's the same. If you need to like use it to kind of like really, you know, drag it into the hairline, then obviously do that if it makes it easier for you. But I like to kind of like buff with this. Okay, so now I'm gonna just kind of like do this area here. So I'm keeping it in the same place, and all my aim is to make sure that the edges are nicely blended so that they don't look too harsh, but the shape looks the same, right? So you can see here, it's nicely blended, but that shape is still there, and it's the positioning is still there, so the placement hasn't changed. Now this area here, I obviously did my jawline area because I want to sharpen that. Now this is where I do sometimes drag just to kind of spread the product out. Now I flip this brush over, so I'm using the smaller part of the brush, and this is where I'm just gonna like buff that in. So these areas here, I did to make my lips look a little bit bigger, and obviously I'm using the smaller side of the brush because it fits in perfectly with the smaller feature. So I'm keeping that kind of like arrow shape there. I'm gonna just kind of like smooth this to the sides of the bridge of the nose. I like to take it up into the brow because I just feel like it, otherwise it looks a bit disconnected, and just blend that out there. I feel like my face is contoured well now, so now I'm going to go in with my foundation. Those of you who are new to this channel or video, it's the first video you've watched and the first time you've seen me doing makeup, you may be saying, well, why are you putting your foundation on after your concealer? Boy, has this been a big discussion on this channel, and trust me, I think you're going to love it if you actually do try this way. But head on over to one of my playlists. Like, I think foundation is going to be a good place for you to start, and it will give you a good idea in terms of like how I apply makeup and why I underpaint. It's a technique called underpainting, and it's something I think you're going to love once you get the hang of it. It gives you a much more soft focused look. So anyway, so if you're unsure about that, head on over there, watch it. I think it's going to change your makeup game. I'm going to use my Real Technique sponge again. It kind of needs to be a bit more damp because I always feel like the Real Technique sponges don't really stay damp, whereas like my beauty blenders, once I've like wet it and squeezed all the water out, it lasts me a couple of days like that. Yeah, I just feel like this kind of like dries out. So what I'm doing is just using whatever spray is at hand, and currently it is the Milk Hydro Grip Setting Spray. So I'm just shaking that and just kind of like spraying the sponge with that, and just gonna make sure there's no excess, kind of, it's not overly wet. And oh yeah, the foundation that I'm using, I'm currently very tanned, so I'm using my Tarte Face Tape Foundation in 47S Tan Deep Sand, and that's on at the back of my hand, and I'm just buffing the sponge into the foundation on the back of my hand, and then I'm going to buff it all over my face. I'm going to start from the forehead and work myself way down. So you can see here, and I still feel like this is still probably a bit light for me because I am very tanned at the moment. So what I'm going to do is use my bronzer after to really kind of like just darken my face a little bit so it looks a bit more in line with my shoulders and the rest of my face. So yeah, I do know that this is the darkest foundation that I have color wise, because I usually mix it when I'm kind of in between, when I'm not this dark. It's still not dark enough considering, so I'm going to be like warming that up a bit more. So I'm really kind of like buffing it in. I'm not pressing too hard. I'm kind of like, I'm not like, you know, I'm not pressing too hard basically. I'm just kind of like buffing it like nicely into the skin. So just like, I don't want to feel like it's too hard. I just want to do it quite softly because I don't want to ruin whatever we've got underneath. Now I'm really kind of like, as you can see, I'm quite strategic with how I apply it. I go across the forehead, I go under the eyes, make sure the nose is done, and then I go, because I don't want to go on dark shade first, I want to go on all the light areas first and then do the dark shade later, like at the end, because it just ties everything together. You don't have to, you can do it whatever way you want, but this is all about me showing you how I apply makeup and how I do this look. Okay, what I'm doing now is getting my banana powder in the palm of my hand. I'm just pouring some of it kind of out into my hand. I'm going to get my powder puff, which is my Laura Mercier powder puff. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get my sponge. I've got everything ready in terms of my powder, but I'm going to get the tip of my sponge, take the excess out of my kind of lines that I can see it settling into. I always find that it's a good idea to kind of like smile like a few times, let it settle in there, because then you know where it kind of settles in, and really kind of take that product out. So you've collected all of the excess now. I'm going to go in and I can see where it kind of like has settled, and now I'm going straight in with my puff, which has my powder on there, and just do the other side, put clear. Okay, under eyes done. Now what I'm going to do is do this area here. Now this means I'm actually shooting somewhere else today. Now I'm heading out, so I needed this type of makeup because with all the lights and everything, it's way more of a professional setup than what I have here. I know that I need a full kind of beat going on, something that's gonna like stand the test of time. Is that a saying? Stand the test of time? I don't know, I might be completely wrong, guys, but you know, we all know that's a common thing with me. So okay, dusting off this powder using my Hourglass Veil brush to do it all over the face other than my under eye area. Now I'm getting my Real Techniques brush, my setting brush, and I'm just going to dust it off the under eye area. Now that's all done, the base is done. Now the next step is my eyebrows, because it gives me a good indication as to like where my eye look is going, if that makes sense. So I'm going to start with my Brow Wiz in medium brown, and all I'm going to do is I draw hair strokes all the way along, and then I kind of like mainly focus on the bold spots because they're bold, really weird. Bold. Like, I feel like when I say bold, but that's not the correct way of saying it. Bold. But then I feel weird saying bold. Like, this is such a ridiculous conversation, but guys, it's fine. Okay, something about my brow that I know is that I focus on applying more at the bottom than the top, because sometimes I've seen where pictures or videos where I've done and I haven't focused enough on the bottom part and it just looks like really high. So I am going to focus on the bottom part, and I'm just drawing in those kind of like feather strokes. I like the underside to be very straight here. I don't like it to be round. I hate that on me. And then my arch is roughly around here, so a quarter of the way in from the end of the lash line. Usually just get my wing right first, so I think that's about right. And then just draw in some feather strokes. This is now where I use my Lime Crime Bushy Brow pen in, this is Baby Brown, and I basically draw extra hair strokes, mainly at the bottom because I like to fill that area a bit more, but anywhere where I feel like the pencil is kind of like it's a bit obvious where you've got that bold spot where I've applied the pencil, and then my actual hair. So I applied this to give it more depth, so it looks more kind of like you can't tell the difference of where the hair is and where the hair isn't. Now I get my Makeup by Mario palette, the Master Mattes palette, and I'm going to head into a dark brown shade. I'm going to use my Rowan brush. It's the Everything Eye brush, and there's two parts to it. There's one really small, kind of like almost like slightly dome shaped one. I'm going to use the Matte 8, and all I'm doing is pressing it like really close to my lash line. So I don't want it too thick, all the way across, right? So you're just going to press it really close to the lash line, all the way across the whole lash line until the end of the lash line, or just before if you prefer a lifted look. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Now I'm going to flip the brush over, nothing on this side. I'm just going to like buff it into, just kind of like smooth it back and forth into the lash line. I'm going to get my Huda Beauty Lifeliner. This is actually the brown shade. So I really like this colour. So what I'm going to do is just go really close here. So close that it doesn't even look like eyeliner. And then I'm going to go all the way across. I don't go all the way to the end of the lash line because I'll tell you in a minute why. Now, this is where I'm going to do my wing, and I'm basically going to draw a line from here upwards. Now, I need to kind of like basically be looking straight ahead into a mirror. So let me just get a compact so that I can get a good view. Let me do it from here. This is better. Yeah. I feel like that's good. Okay, I'm going to do the same on the other side. Make sure I do it in the same direction. Okay, now this is where I'm going to fill this area in, but not too thick. So you can see how I've got that really nice thin wing. My eyeliner isn't actually finished yet because I'm going to add to it in a bit, but now it's enough for me to be able to put my lashes on. Just going to use my Byredo mascara and put a light coating on because I want to put my lashes right on. Now, while I'm waiting for the glue to dry on my lashes, I'm going to just get my Fenty 200 brush and my Fenty Sunstalker bronzer in Shady Biz and just go over that contour so that I can just enhance it a little bit. Just gonna basically create a bit of a diamond shape here. I'm just gonna pop these lashes on now. Okay, we're gonna let that dry for a minute. Now what I'm gonna do is go into another palette, and I'm going into the Jaclyn Hill Divine Neutrals palette by Morphe. And I'm gonna use this is my Marc Jacobs crease brush, it's amazing. Now I'm gonna use the shade Good Vibes, and the reason I'm doing this after putting my lashes on is because it gives me a good idea of where I want that kind of crease area to be. Now I'm gonna go right here, and I'm just gonna basically define the socket area here. I always find like doing it after, not all the time, but sometimes it just kind of like gives me more of a better understanding of where it's going to look good once my lashes and everything are on. Also, when you do this before putting your lashes and everything on, you tend to automatically go into the inner corner, and I feel like this way you kind of stop yourself from going all the way in, and you just apply it where you visually need it. Like otherwise you just put it on in areas that you don't even need it, and it just looks a bit too much. So this way you're just applying it where it looks good, and that's it. Now I'm going to go into another Fenty 200 brush. I'm going into the shade Just Barely, and I'm basically kind of like going over this whole lid area. I'm kind of going over the area that I've actually sculpted just now as well, and it's kind of like blending everything together, you know, so it doesn't look so disconnected. Everything just kind of looks very seamless. And I also like to just go right on the inner corner with this, like not inner corner, but just on the sides of the nose. I'm also going to go in with Good Vibes on my lower lash line using the Sigma E30 brush. Like, eye makeup is all a process. Like, I don't necessarily finish one section and move on to the other, because I feel like you need to really know how it kind of goes together, like how everything fits in together. It's like a jigsaw. It's like, how does this fit in with the next part of the eye? And sometimes you need to start a little bit on one side and then finish it after you've kind of fit in the other part. So this bit I'm just literally just kind of like pressing it in. And then I'm taking it a little bit out there. This is Good Vibes, if I didn't mention. Okay, gonna go back in with that Rowan brush and going into Boo Bear. It's a dark brown, and I'm going right into my lower lashes here. I really like it when it's a little bit darker here, just in this area here. It gives a really nice kind of gradient finish. Okay, this is where I'm going to go into matte 12, which is basically black, with that small part of the Rowan brush. And this is where I basically like press it onto my liner here. And what it does is it almost kind of like gives a softer finish to the whole eyeliner. What I do here is I get my Sigma Wings Liner E06 brush, I go into the black, and then basically I just drag this end of the liner out, so it just kind of like fades out a bit more. Just gonna apply my mascara on my lower lashes. Okay, I'm going to use my Hourglass Veil brush and my Sunstalker in Island Ting. This is where I'm just going to add some more bronze to my face to warm it up, because obviously it's looking a bit flat. So I just go basically from the ear inwards. And I also go on my under eye area to just kind of keep that warmth everywhere. You can just do like swirling motions, or like if you've done a base like this, like how I have, you know it's not going anywhere. Do you know what I mean? So you can swirl, you can do whatever you want, it's not going anywhere. But if you're doing like a different type of base, I wouldn't recommend using the brush like this. I'd probably go more towards like buffing. I'm gonna add a little bit of blush. This is Melba from MAC. You can use any kind of stipple brush. I don't even know what this is. It's a really old MAC one. And I'm just applying it above. So basically on the cheekbones. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of highlight. I'm actually using the new Fenty Chocolate Swirl. Chocolate Swirler? Oh, Toasted and Swirl Bronze Shimmer Powder. It's so good. Okay, this is my Zoeva 234 brush, and I'm just gonna go onto the lighter shade in here and just kind of like go over my nose. The tip, I always like that bit to be a bit more kind of highlighted. And then the Zoeva 134 brush, I swirl it all around. And this is where we're just gonna go a bit there and a bit there. That's it. Lastly, we are using my iconic nude from Charlotte Tilbury. Gonna just line the lips. Gonna go in with my Bobbi Brown Barely Nude 2 Luxe Liquid Lipstick. I put the tiniest amount on. I'm like rushing now because I'm so late. I was supposed to leave like 5 minutes ago. Okay, Anastasia Beverly Hills Hollywood lipstick, which I think is discontinued, guys. I know, I'm so sorry. So if you can get it, grab it because it's so good. There you have it. This is another one of my most requested makeup looks. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I need to leave because I'm so late. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've kind of like seen that a lot more goes into a look when you're kind of on film, or maybe even, I would still do this for a glam evening look, you know, where you know the light's gonna be low and like you still wanna look flawless and you don't want all those shadows to bring out everything. I would still do something like this. So this isn't just for camera. I would still do this on a full on like proper nice event. That is it. I'm gonna head off. Grab myself a Starbucks if I don't have time. But yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys soon. I really do hope you've enjoyed this video today, and I hope you love this look because I absolutely love it. Now, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments box below. Don't forget all the products listed in my description box below. So all you need to do is head over there, click on the links, and it'll take you straight to each product. Now, as always, if you do like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next time, take care and I'll see you soon.